What's going on, everyone? So reports keep coming in that the New Orleans Pelicans are more likely than not to trade Brandon Ingram. That Brandon Ingram will be the most likely player moved by the Pelicans this upcoming offseason. They would have to give him a new contract extension. They don't seem super thrilled in order to do that. Might as well try to trade him and get what you can as far as asset-wise goes. Maybe get some other players. They want to kind of retool and kind of restructure this team because it hasn't worked. Right? It's not whatever they have right now going on. They've been a good team, but they haven't been a great team, right? They've kind of just been this middle of the pack, like fringe playoff team. And it's time to start making some adjustments. And Brandon Ingram is going to be on the trade block. And of course, Brandon Ingram being on the trade block leads him to the Lakers. Now, he has been linked to the Lakers. Every player that has any type of name or notoriety is always going to be linked to the Lakers, right? It's just how it goes. But in the case of Brandon Ingram, right, he is a former Laker. The Lakers drafted Brandon Ingram. He was part of the New Orleans Pelicans trade. Now, question is one, what would it cost to go get Brandon Ingram? And two, does he make sense for the Lakers? Now, I don't hate the idea of getting Brandon Ingram, right? If you told me tomorrow the Lakers went and traded for Brandon Ingram, I would be all for it, right? Talk about a guy, 6'8", 6'9", he's got 7'3" wingspan, can play both forward positions, can even play the two guard if you needed him to, right? Like, let's say you wanted to keep Jared Vanderbilt out there. You could do something where you had, say, let's say you keep D'Lo. Again, just using it as an example. Say you keep D'Lo. You go like D'Lo, Ingram, Vanderbilt, LeBron, and AD if you wanted to, and just have all that defense, all that switchability, all that size, all that length. Even D'Angelo Russell with his 6'10" wingspan give you a bunch of length. Again, just using D'Lo as an option, it's kind of being reported that he may potentially opt out. But nonetheless, right, the Pelicans are more likely than not going to be a team that's going to want D'Lo. Now, maybe they could use a playmaker, but more likely than not, they're going to go look to kind of revamp and build around Zion. They finally saw what they wanted in Zion, and then he ended up getting hurt again, which is another question, which is also a concern with Brandon Ingram, is just the health of Brandon Ingram. Now, as far as like the idea of Ingram, he makes a ton of sense, right? Sizable, versatile, switchable two-way wing that can create his own shots, create a bit for others, right? Just go be a bucket getter. The Lakers could really use that, but also defend multiple positions and be a guy that can switch on multiple positions, right? So the idea of Brandon Ingram makes a world of sense. Problem is health-wise. Now, he did play 64 games with the Pelicans this past season, which isn't great, right? But it's not terrible. It's kind of just like 65 games is kind of the general standard, especially now that the NBA has that new rule if you want accolades and stuff. So 64, 65 games is probably what you're looking at for any player necessarily, but look at the previous years. It's like 45 games, 55 games, 61, 62, 52, right? 59. The last time he played more than like 60, this was his best season since his rookie year. Let's phrase it like that. He played 79 games his rookie year. He only started in half of them, 40 of them. And so since his rookie year, this past season was his best season as far as like being on the court. But this is a guy that'll give you anywhere from 20 to 25 a game if need be, right? Get you a couple rebounds, couple assists. He's a legit 25-5 guy, right? Good 3-point percentage, good 2-point percentage. Right? He's had better years. This past year, he was only around 35, 36% from 3-point range. But you look at previous years, like the previous year, he was at 39%. He's had a couple 38 to 39% 3-point seasons with the Pelicans. I even had that one with the Lakers. But nonetheless, right, like Brandon Ingram does make a world of sense as like, okay, now you have this size, this length. You have that other secondary scorer where he could take pressure off of LeBron, take pressure off of Anthony Davis. At times when you need a bucket, you could just give it to Brandon Ingram and let him go to work, right? There's a lot of positives with Brandon Ingram, but the couple more questions as far as like how it goes is like anybody that the Lakers bring in, right? Say like a Brandon Ingram, right? You also have to keep in mind the LeBron fit as well as the post-LeBron era, right? So when you're looking at LeBron James, I do think Brandon Ingram and LeBron can work, right? Like something I've talked about with say Trae Young, for example, is the concerns of Trae and LeBron's fit alongside each other, right? Trae is so ball dominant. He's so on ball. He's a guy that is best with the ball in his hands, but you have LeBron. He's going to have the ball in his hands heavily. So there is that conflict. There is that concern. But you look at a guy like Brandon Ingram, there is a lot of sense in Ingram, right? Because he is a guy that can play off ball. He is a guy that can have the ball in his hands. He's a guy that can do multiple things out there on the basketball court. So I don't think that there would be this awkward fit when you talk about Brandon Ingram and LeBron James. Another thing, though, is, again, post-LeBron. What does Ingram and Anthony Davis look like post-LeBron? Is Brandon Ingram and Anthony Davis your building blocks going forward that make sense as your two guys going forward? I don't know. Right? Like, can Brandon Ingram be your second best player? I don't think he's a number one option. I don't think Brandon Ingram, if Brandon Ingram is your best player, you're not winning a championship. If he's your third best player, right, and on any given night can be your second best player, then yes, watch out, right? Brandon Ingram alongside LeBron and Anthony Davis, watch out. But when LeBron leaves, can he be the second best player? Now, I do think he can continue to learn. He can continue to grow. He's still only 27 years old, right? So he's a guy that has a lot of upside and potential and can learn a lot from LeBron James. So it's not like he's a guy that's just completely stuck in his ways. You know, it's not like he's 32 something and it's kind of like, he's the player that he is. No, he's just kind of getting into the beginning stages of your prime, playing alongside LeBron, playing alongside Anthony Davis. I do think that there is room for growth and development in that regard. And so it is possible. To me, it's like, okay, let's say Brandon Ingram and Anthony Davis are your two building blocks post LeBron. To me, it's what does the rest of the roster look like, right? Because at that point, you go get another center, right? So like, let's say Colin Castleton actually develops into a quality center. Let's say he develops into like, a Nurk type player where you can make some plays, you can, play a little bit of defense, right? Hit the open shot, right? Like, let's say he becomes something like that, right? And let's say you have, so essentially your Nurk and Colin Castleton, got Anthony Davis now at the 4, Brandon Ingram at the 3. To me, it's like, okay, can Max Christie take those strides to becoming a legit, a KCP type at worst? So now you got like that KCP type, and then, what does your point guard position look like? The beauty of Brandon Ingram also is you'd have flexibility as far as like, so you could go get Brandon Ingram depending on how much it costs you, right? Which I don't think Brandon Ingram's going to cost the farm. Like, I don't think he's going to be cheap, but I don't think he costs the Lakers essentially everything. It also just depends on what other teams are looking to potentially trade for Ingram, right? But I do think he's a guy that, teams would throw. Like, I think he costs at least 2 firsts, maybe a pick swap, say Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura, right? Something like that. Well, you'd still have several pieces. You still have a first, still have a pick swap or 2, and then you'd also have a bunch of seconds to where maybe you go get somebody else. Maybe you go get, could you go get DeJounte Murray or something like that? Now you got like Murray, let's say Max Christie, Ingram, LeBron, and Anthony Davis as your starting 5. It's pretty good. Got good size, good length, good versatility, right? So I do think in the now it makes a lot of sense. I do think post LeBron it makes a lot of sense. I do like the idea of the big 3 of Ingram, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. My only concern is, like I mentioned, injury history, right? Because Brandon Ingram doesn't have a great track record in that regard. LeBron and Anthony Davis have been the healthiest they have been. Can that repeat? Can that continue? And then on top of that, you're talking about Brandon Ingram's going to be due for a new contract. So you're probably going to have to max him out in that regard, which that's not good. Because, is he a $45 million a year guy? I don't know. I think at the price that he's at now, 36 million, I think cool. But, he's not going to come. You're not going to trade for him and then not pay him the 45 plus million. So now you got basically 3 max guys. If you win a championship, you're not complaining. But post LeBron, that's a concern. It just depends on what does Brandon Ingram look like as far as development and stuff. It's just, there's a lot of questions. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Brandon Ingram? Do you not? Do you think like Ingram, LeBron, and Anthony Davis would make a ton of sense as far as like your backcourt goes? Gives you a versatile, sizable wing, whatnot. So again, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.